We have a platinum selling artist, one of the best rap albums ever created. His signature is on all your favorite rap songs, and he has a tremendous amount of influence on all the rappers that have came after him. Today, we have the D.O.C.
Yo, Richard Fly, right? It's real, Jack, right? Serious. What's up?
I'm here looking for a new act, man.
Hey, man, who is it?
It's the D.O.C.
Yeah, we looking for new acts, man. Let me tell you something, man. We're looking for somebody that's funky.
The D.O.C.'s dope.
Let's go find him.
Yeah.
High energy, full with the wisdom, sense of a rich man, knowledge in the rhythm. This is what I'm using to come up with a style, so I'll interact all together better with the crowd. Nervous for a second and the record starts spinning and I fall into the state of mind of what I've just created. Pumping like the doctor, D into the RE suckers ready to leap up on the tip when we made it. Created so I'll never be regarded as a regular, more than just a little bit better than my competitor. You should never underestimate the fashion. I hope for the stage whether I'm cooling or thrashing. Clocking the concoction created by me. When read you read, E equals a D-O to the C. Knowledge and the talent that my mother had born to her equals an artist I won't be worn. What is that, Dre? A little something for the brethren with intellect you truly understand it. It's like a message from the one who's getting candid. Making a mark on the strength with rhyme ain't like nothing. When you're pumping, something that's bumping, did it. Cause it's like I had to make one better than the last one. Close to mistake, none. But something new was needed in the mix too. Make it as lethal, so lethal that I would think you couldn't be made to invade certain areas, no other jurisdiction. But that was fiction. As you progress and you're enlightened, and the better you're writing by never biting, you're exciting to the crowd. Club congregation or gatherings, homies in the street, they'll be thinking you OG. Smooth, wordy example of how I'm living. I get in this prime, pumping records that'll blow your mind.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's go to the next record.
He fires. He's open. Beautiful catch. Touchdown.
I just want to take you back to the very beginning. What was your kind of first musical influences as a kid that pushed you into rapping?
Uh, the earliest influence was Sugar Hill Gang, um, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, African Bombada, those guys, and that was the earliest stuff for me that got me interested in it.
Did you ever feel like you kind of stole some of that East Coast ish style when you first started rapping?
Absolutely, that's where I got it all from. Uh, that's the only place it existed when I first started. And so that's where all the inspiration came from for me.
Was there anyone around you that also kind of had that dream, or was it just like, hey, this is what I want to do and I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, it was a lot of kids down here that was after it, and everybody was doing their own thing. Yeah, mine was just different.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, how did you end up in LA and, with the Texas Cats and the Feel Fresh crew link up with Ruthless Records and NWA? Like, how did you end up out there from Dallas or Texas? What was your
Well,
journey like for that?
there was a guy named Dr. Rock who was the DJ of the Feel Fresh crew.
Mhm.
He was a DJ in the World Class Wrecking Crew before he moved. He was in LA, a part of that group, and then moved to Dallas and got on radio. And then we formed our group. And so
Mhm.
the connection to all of those West Coast guys came through him.
Gotcha. So he was the link between you and Dre at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Makes perfect
Mhm.
sense. 'Cause I was sitting there thinking like, man, how did DOC go from Dallas to LA? Especially in those times, no social media. It's much harder to link up, especially in the music tip to get that collaboration. But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, when the Boys in the Hood record first started to gain traction, Rock put a lot of work in down here breaking it for those guys. So they
Mm.
started to come down here doing shows, and the guy heard me and propositioned me to come back to the coast.
H So, like, kind of what happened, I've heard you talk about before, the NWA stuff kinda started picking up steam, and then you were kinda folded into, like, as the posse, but you weren't really aware of being in the posse per se?
Yeah,
How
I
did
didn't
that
know.
Yeah, how did that come about?
I don't know. You'd have to ask those guys. It was, it just happened, and then that's what it was. Those guys was making money with those records, and I couldn't tell you who was doing it or how they was doing it. But they sold a lot of them.
Definitely. Jimmy?
I think see you're up to.
Oh, alright. So your album, right? So now you're in LA. You're hanging out with NWA. You're kind of writing for them, doing all that stuff. But you yourself are working on your own project. Your first album, No One Can Do It Better. Absolutely legendary album. It went gold just a few months after it was released, and then I think it was platinum only a few, like maybe 3 or 4 years after that, which is crazy. Um, Everyone's got a favorite track from that record. Mine being the title song or maybe Mind Blowin. They're kind of right there. But if you had to pick one song that was your favorite, maybe there's a cool story behind it, or it was the most fun to record. Which one would you choose?
It would be the formula, and just because I'm a Marvin Gaye guy,
Mm.
and it's just one of my favorite records. It came together really, really well.
Did you find that sample?
No, Dre, Dre and Michelle A was at the movies, and he said he daydreamed that we made this song called "The Formula" on the way home, and then he played the Marvin Gaye record, and I wrote it that night.
Wow, just like that, just off the cusp, just that's awesome.
That's a crazy a daydream, and then he just happened to play that song, it just worked perfect, that's crazy. I mean, obviously, that's a fantastic record as well, and it's funky enough. There's that Dre or that easy cut where he's like, "Dre makes the beat so funk funk." Did he get in the booth just to record that line, or was that just a little cut that Dre had laying around and it just fit perfectly in there?
No, no, that was a record. Um, all that early stuff was just Dre working.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, wanted to ask you in the music videos for "It's Funky Enough" and "The Formula," it kinda starts out with Eazy and Dre looking for talent and trying to audition people for new talent, and then it cuts to you. Was that kind of like a running bit that y'all had, or was there like a story behind that, kind of for the intro to those music videos?
No, man, we were just young and having fun. There was no real story there.
So you just wanna throw them in there, have a good time. That's
Yeah, that's all it was. Somebody wrote it and thought it was cool. Yeah, I was just happy to be there in the video.
there you go. Yeah. Um, on Drink Champs, you said that you found the sample for "It's Funky Enough" and did it in one take. Are there any of your other tracks one takes as well?
Yeah. Um, Let the Bass Go, Portrait of a Master. No, not Portrait. Let the Bass Go and Whirlwind Pyramid were both one takes. Funky Enough is one take. I think that's it.
Yeah. Is that something you just kind of like you had it done and were just like, "This is the perfect the
Grand
way I saw it to
Finale,
be"?
Grand Finale was one take.
Mm. Was it because you just like, "This is perfect, this is the way I have it," or you
No,
just
bro,
kinda didn't wanna go back?
no, I was good. And once you got it,
You don't need to do it
you
again.
got it. That's it. And I made mistakes, but it sounded good. So if it sounds good.
Yeah, just keep it.
Yeah.
Is that how
Wow.
you felt on "It's Funky Enough"? Because you talk about doing a Jamaican accent and then never doing it ever again.
Yeah, I was drunk. And so the beat sounded like a Jamaican beat. And in that moment, that's what came out. And that's why it was one take. I just went all the way through it. And I never got that drunk again, probably. Or I don't know why I never tried it again. But that's why I did it the first time, because I was drinking Old English.
Oof. Did anyone ever ask you about, like, when you first released that, did anyone question it? Like, where did this come from? Was that like a big thing that was talked about at the time?
No, they everybody just assumed I was really good, and they just took it as that it was purposeful and I planned it, and I'm just this thing. Most motherfuckers would never guess it just happened because I was loaded. But uh, even in that, there's poetry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You talked about before too, recording "No One Can Do It Better" on the Straight Outta Compton tour in '89. Um, my question being, I looked up chronologically. It looked like there was 9 more shows on that tour after you released that album. Were you able to record or play some of those songs during those shows once the album was out?
Yeah, the maybe halfway through uh, the tour, they NWA would give me 7 minutes at the beginning of their show. Every show, I got a chance to go out and perform those songs. Most of it was before the records came out, but when Funk Enough came out, there was a marked difference in the way the crowds were reacting. I could tell it was shit was about to get good.
Nice. Yeah, you wrote "We Want Easy" for the Easy Does It record. How did that role of writer come about for you? Was it just because you were tight with them and you had it ready to go, or was it something they asked you to do?
Yeah. That's why I was there. That's why they
Mhm,
flew me out to help them build you know, some good records, and that was just the first one.
On that writing tip, um, how did you write verses for other people? Like, did you listen to their style and then hear the new beat and then write in their voice in your head, or did you write for yourself and they adapted to you?
Yeah, I wrote uh, stories based around the character, whoever they were, and but I was doing me,
Mhm,
and so if we want easy, could have been a D.O.C song.
mhm.
If you close your eyes and hear it, it's the same guy. So that's. I thought I was gonna go on the treadmill. Okay, let me finish this interview, then we can do it. Oh, what's the big TV? Sure. Um, yeah, I was writing for me, but by the time I got to Snoop, it was specific for him. But everybody else before that, with Dre or Eric, that was me.
gotcha. Did How did that work once you then had all this time really writing for yourself, and then you get to Snoop and it's specific to him? Like, how did you make that turn?
He had already laid his formula down. Uh, he was already him. You know what I mean? And so I was just copying him. If I ever wrote for him, just copying him the best I could, his cadences and his mannerisms and things like that. But Snoop was already so good, man. It was a gift to me to be able to work with him.
Oh, absolutely. And you got writing credit on Nothing But a G Thing. How much of that song did you write? Because obviously, I mean, it's an absolute legendary song.
Yeah, just that hook part, like this and like that and like this. We don't give a fuck about those to the next episode. That little section right there is all I did. But I helped Snoop piece that body of work together, so it flowed like that.
Oh, absolutely. If
Yeah.
that, I mean, if you wrote that part, then I mean, then where did the next episode come from? Because obviously Dre used that later on.
That's just something we said uh, when we was building these records. We said that on about two or three other records, and so for me, that was just a flashback to saying that.
Gotcha. It's so cool to learn how that stuff kind of came about too, for sure.
It kind of all comes together. It's wild.
Hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, I know you've talked about this plenty of times, but like, you know, losing your voice, like how did that affect you and your passions? I mean, imagine rapping for you or singing was kind of a creative outlet. Like, how did you cope with that and how did that change over time?
Yeah, I just dove back in and started working on other people. You know, I never stopped working. I started
Mhm.
working on right after the wreck. We was working on Above the Law. Right after that, it was another NWA movement. Right after that, it was the chronic stuff. You know what I mean? I was so we're talking about maybe 3 or 4 years really, where it's just constant work. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to um, feel sorry for myself because
Mhm.
I was still involved with work that was high quality and stuff that the people were really into, and I was a big part of it. So I still felt kind of cool, but but there was still a part of me that was just fucked up
Yeah,
because I couldn't do it myself.
definitely.
You talked about getting pulled over right before that happened, and you said
No, kids, man.
it's all good, man. You said that if you wouldn't have had the accident, like it could have been even worse for you. What did you mean by that?
I was in I was a country boy, young country boy that didn't know a whole lot in a big bad world. I mean, you can see how all of this stuff comes out in the press now, the kind of world I was diving into, um, just being a real green person. And so I'd have certainly been out of there on some level if I'd have stayed involved in that shit on a high level. Because I didn't have anybody there to help me figure out what to do and what not to do, where to be, where not to be, that kind of thing.
It makes perfect sense.
Mhm. Yeah, to kind of go back into the music part, once you left NWA and Ruthless and signed to Death Row, did you work on the Chronic and Doggy Style simultaneously? Did you do both at the same time?
Yeah, pretty much. Because you're just making records.
Yeah.
You know, I never signed to Death Row, so
Mm,
uh, I owned it. You know,
there we go.
but but we just worked on records. Maybe it was supposed to be on the Chronic, but it ended up over here later on. That kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But we concentrated on the Chronic and making that the best, record we could make, and we knew it was something special. And that Above the Rim soundtrack kind of let us know, um, what the possibility was. Like Deep Cover was a big record, and
Mhm.
they was gonna, when the Chronic came, they was gonna be ready.
Absolutely. I mean, Above the Rim's a great soundtrack as well. I just started listening to it again, and I forgot how good the song "Big Pimpin'" by the Dog Pound was. I was like, man, the sounds on this song is just I don't know. Dre's different. He's on a different level than anybody else.
Yeah, bro, he's weird.
um, I gotta ask you this, man, because Tupac is my favorite of all time. Did you ever get a chance to work with him?
Yeah, I did a song with Pac and Breed called Gotta Get Mine.
Hmm.
And I didn't spend a lot of time in the studio with Pac. In fact, I spent no time in the studio. He did his, and then I came and helped Breed uh, later on. I only spent time with him on the video of that record. But Pac is a hell of an artist, hell of a talent. We lost a lot with that one.
Everyone always talks about like his energy or his aura. It was kind of powerful, right? And it drew people in. And you've said something similar about Easy. Was there any characteristics that they had similar that made you feel that way about both?
Yeah, yeah. They had like this it kind of thing. A quality is je ne sais quoi. You know, they just had that thing that made them cool. You know, and on two totally different spectrums though. But it's the same energy.
Yeah, you said Easy was like he was that dude. Like he wasn't a big guy, but he was with the action. He was down to do whatever. What was the
Yeah.
difference between him and Pac? Because Pac has kind of always gave off that vibe, and a lot of people that knew him said he was not. He was more kind of artistic in that way.
Well, Pac was with the shits, but it had to be purposeful. Uh, but he was with the business, no question about it. I seen that too, but Easy was just, he was built like a tank, yet hard to hit.
What was I'm sure you've seen the Straight Outta Compton movie. Um, how was that scene where Dre is in the studio at Death Row, if you remember, very hostile? Um, was that the energy, like, was that depicted pretty accurately of kind of what was going on at the time?
Mhm. I think it may have been a little glorified, but uh, not as far as the how dangerous it was. It was glorified that it was a party in there. Wasn't no partying in there. Oh man, guys was having fun, but it wasn't. You know, champagne glasses and shit. It was some motherfucking crazy shit around there.
Sure. I want to ask you about you're in LA at this time, this late '80s. So Showtime Lakers. LA's popping off in sports. Um, any crazy memories watching the Lakers or the Raiders or Dodgers or anything like that?
No, in fact, most of that stuff is a blank for me.
Hmm.
Maybe because I done had too many wrecks
Yeah.
or smoked too much weed. I don't know.
We'll chalk it up to one of the two.
Yeah,
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you too, because you ended up having a cameo in the Winning Time, the Rise of the Showtime Lakers.
that was cool.
How did that come about? Is that something you just kind of like, I'm gonna get into acting, or someone hit you up and you just popped
No,
in?
somebody just asked me if I thought I could do it, and I said I think I can do it, and they said, "Well, read this," and I read it. It was like you can't do it. And I did it. It was cool.
Yeah. Is this something you think about still doing, like jumping into some other shows or
Man, it's so much going on right now, bro. I'm
yeah.
really, this film is it just I have to get it
Yeah,
out.
makes sense. Yeah.
You know, that's that's something that's been on my plate for far too long. And when I get that out, then I can do. Man, it's probably so much I could do after that happens. And so I've been patient all this time. I'm going to remain patient, but I think
Mhm.
we're really close.
That's a perfect segue because I was just about to ask you kind of what's going on with that. I know there was a reveal about it a while ago. Um, and I know there was some sort of maybe you played like a trailer for it, and you had Quick and a bunch of other guys out there on stage doing a performance and stuff. So I just want to know more
That
about it.
was that was Tribeca.
Okay.
Tribeca to 2022 and Tribeca in the summer. And I've been trying to find the right situation since then. And we're finally getting to a space where people are starting to see
Hmm.
starting to see things a little bit like I see them, and now we can talk like men.
I'm assuming you're talking with some streaming platforms type deal.
Yes.
Um, have you is everything cut and edited? Everything's ready to go. It's just kind of the business thing is the only thing holding it back
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's it.
Got it.
That's it. It's a done data. And I don't mind saying anymore. It's probably the best hip hop doc. It's top three hip hop documentaries of all time.
If it's that good, man, preach.
Can't wait to
Talk
watch
about it.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's top three, and it might not be number two or three, bro.
Top three. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's the motherfucker is that good. It make you, man. It's hip hop, bro, and that's why it's so cool because I'm the vessel, but
Mhm.
it's just pure hip hop, bro.
I feel like that's what people want to see because I feel like it also has been a while since something like that has came out. The other ones with the Pac and Biggie and the NWA movies, those are a little different. Like this is more raw fact type stuff, and
Yeah,
it's blends the past with the present and future. Like
yeah, bro.
I'm super excited for it. I can't wait for you to release it.
Me either. But when that motherfucker come out, you'll know I'm happy.
I will promote it big time. That's for sure.
Yeah, bro. Where you guys at? You on the coast?
I'm in the Bay.
Yeah, yeah. Can't
Yeah.
wait to come to the Bay with it because the Bay used to love D.O.C. They are going to love this motherfucking movie, bro.
Mm.
They're
Are
gonna
you
love it. Too
are you
short.
gonna are you gonna unveil it a certain way? You think? Like, do you have any like big picture plans for how you're gonna drop it?
Yeah. So, a lot of the personal stuff that I'm trying to do is built around service, around community,
Mhm.
uh, trying to bring folks together in a way that means something. You know what I mean? And so I want to do that with the film. I want to build a coalition of like-minded folks that want to help transform these communities and begin to build a new matrix in there, man. We I think you know what you need: education and food and security, and start to build those things in silos, in groups. All it takes is money, you know. And I want to use this documentary as sort of a call to action.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to be honest. That's all I could think about. Obviously, on the hip hop tip, it's gonna be cool to see a lot of that stuff unfold. But all that stuff you're talking about, I mean, obviously that's always what we need. We need more of community for sure.
Hell
Um,
yeah, bro. Like we're in a moment in time where divisiveness or the illusion of togetherness is bled out. You have to understand where we are, and I don't hate nobody. I don't hate anyone for what you're doing because I'm a God guy, which means everything serves a purpose. So, but my purpose is to get these niggas together and say, look, you have the power to create your own utopia within this little circle that you live in. And nobody can stop you. Nobody. You know,
mhm.
only you can stop you. Just like only you can do it for you. And so I'm on the do it for you team, and see if I can get out here and see how many people think like me, bro. You don't need a whole lot of them. You just need a few really good ones.
I think it's probably more the share your mindset than you would think. I think people are getting tired of the way things are going, just with
Yeah, big
so
time.
Yeah,
much, like you said, divisiveness. I mean, it's crazy. And obviously, you grew up during different generations and saw a whole bunch of other type of issues where, you know, for me and Jimmy being our age, I think that this is kind of a really turning point in time of like, where are we going to go? Like, it's getting
man,
toxic.
Absolutely.
folks, they're so lost in their illusion that they still press the issue that um, racism in this country is a figment of your imagination. It's been so
Hmm.
long ago, and bro, they had black and white water fountains 50 years ago. That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You think that shit, they can't be. Let's do it. Well, give me a second, son. I'm almost done.
We'll wrap it up quick.
Yeah.
I only got one more question after this.
Uh, they lean so hard into that privilege that they think 50 years is all it took
Hmm.
to erase 350 years of that bullshit. And you can't be a common sense person and think like that. You have to be thinking like that from an emotional place, which means you'll never see the truth. And so I can't hate you for that. You have to live like that, but I see it. And I'm not going to let you tell me no bullshit. Excuse my language.
Good.
Okay, you got one more question. My guy's trying
You
to
go
be.
for it.
So I want to ask you: is there anyone that you feel like you influenced in music directly? And I could be way off, but for me, the first name that pops into my mind is DJ Quick, and just on the sense of like during the time when he released his first album and his first projects, it was everything was turning that hardcore kind of sound, and he stayed on that funky, Parliament samples, Zapp and Roger samples, right? He stayed in that lane kind of that you were at. His subject matter might have been a little grittier and grimier than yours, but it definitely had that feel of like, yo, I can make it work with this sound and
That's
be in
right.
that lane.
Bro, I don't. I can hear me in a whole lot of guys. It's a whole lot of dudes got me in their DNA. You know, uh, and that's where it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
We all came from somewhere else. There's obscene amounts of Rakim in my matrix, and Run DMC, and KRS-One, and Slick Rick. All of those guys exist inside my deal, and we all exist in their deals. We are where they got it from.
Absolutely. Trickle down effect. Same deal with coaching. When I tell people, I learned something. Everything I know, I learned from somewhere. We really appreciate you being on here, D.O.C.
Absolutely.
Look, brother, I appreciate
I'm
you guys reaching out.